All right, so we're just over 2:30 and I want to make sure we take advantage of this hour as much as possible. So without further ado, we're going to get started, and I am going to start out with the welcomes from our president, Christian Amato.
Hi everyone, I'm Christian Amato, president of CMA. I wanted to thank you all for joining our third webinar in a series of how to help your business navigate your marketing assets through the COVID-19 in a crisis situation. Not only that, but it also is how we evolve into the new business normal, and hopefully take some of the ideas that we're talking about today, talking about previously, and applying them to your business, or at least looking for some help to guide you in that direction. Now, I know the team's anxious to get started, so without any further ado, I'm going to kick it over to our brand experience manager, Kelsey Tweedley, to take you down to the next steps of the webinar. Enjoy the webinar, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, so today I'm just going to run through a little bit of our agenda before we open it up to the submitted questions. So I do have a great team here with me today who are involved in our web and mobile app and digital programs here at CMA and the solutions that we provide in those areas. So first, I'm going to introduce everybody on the team, and they're going to share a little bit about what we're seeing from the web and digital universe during this time. And then we're going to take all of the submitted questions that have been sent to us as you guys registered. We do want to keep this to an hour, so we do apologize if we don't get to all of the questions that were submitted. We will be following up after this webinar over the next 2 days with all of the questions and our responses to hopefully help you through this time. I do want to leave some time at the end if you do have any additional questions to please put them in the chat box, and we'll get to those as well. So next up, why don't we introduce Bob Weber. Bob? Hold on one second. There you go. Gotta unmute.
There you go.
There you go.
Name's, sorry about that. My name's Bob Weber, and I'm Vice President of Web Solutions for CMA. For the last 25 years, I've been working to solve business problems using technology, specifically in the online web and app arena. And we've seen a number of very interesting online opportunities pop up due to this COVID pandemic that we're having. One of them right now, which is virtual meetings, that's been around for a while, but now it's become very, very popular with Zoom and WebEx and Microsoft Teams. In addition to that, and we'll touch on these a little bit later, a lot of opportunities in e-commerce, delivery drones, telemedicine, distance learning. We'll go through those a little bit later, but look forward to answering a lot of your questions today.
All right, and Justin, how about you?
Sure. My name is Justin Gaynor. I'm the Director of Web and App Development here at CMA. I'm a full stack PHP MySQL web developer. I've got about 20 years experience in web development. I'm a native app developer as well. I've got about 10 years experience with native languages in both the iOS and Android environments. Our web and app team here at CMA has been extremely busy over the last few weeks. As you can imagine, trying to help companies get their COVID-19 messaging out quickly, efficiently, in a way that suits their needs. You know, we have clients here that run the gamut of all different industries, different sizes, different locations, and we find that everyone's need is a little bit different. You know, sometimes the updates are as small as helping people, you know, let their customers know what's changed with their business hours or operating procedures. Sometimes it's updates as large scale as implementing all new alert messaging systems for their apps and things of that nature. So, you know, each client has a different need, a different budget, a different message, and we've been just helping them navigate that process of figuring out how they get that message out most effectively.
Well, that's great. And Omer, last but certainly not least.
Hey guys, good afternoon. I'm Ombra de Aqui. I'm the digital marketing specialist for CMA. I help clients market their brand digitally. My primary focus are digital solutions such as SEO, Google Ads such as pay-per-click or PPC, and retargeting ads. I believe that our team that has been working on the AMLUX campaign best represents our digital marketing solutions during COVID-19. We've utilized many digital solutions such as email marketing, social media, blogs, webinars, and SEO to maintain a strong digital presence for the brand.
Absolutely. I know, the online world, the web world is extremely important this time. And I know our team here has been very, very busy with keeping up with all those updates and changes as they come. All right, so I definitely want to start into the questions that were submitted because there were some great ones. And I think the team here has some great experience to be able to help you today. So the first question we have is, what are your recommendations or guidelines for micro small businesses seeking to redesign or automate their website? Justin, I think this is in your world, right?
Sure, yeah. And I've got kind of a four-part answer for this. When you're a small company, it's difficult. When you're a small company, potentially with a small budget, small resources, you don't have, a full team to help you do some of this stuff. 4 tips I can put out there if you're looking to either get your first website made or refresh a very old website, which a lot of times smaller companies are still dealing with. The first would be when you're looking to put your new site together, pare down your content, right? Figure out what it is you need, what it is you don't need, because most of the time, your budget and your time frame for putting a site together is going to be largely dependent on how much is going into your site. If people are coming to your site and most of them are coming just to find out when you're open or what area you serve, know what they're coming for, know what's necessary, and know what you don't need. Know what you can, I always try to tell clients, when you put your site together and you launch your site, it's not finished, right? It's, you can always add on. There's always a phase 2. There's always a phase 3. So you may have a really extensive wish list on what you'd like that website to be, but it doesn't all have to be done up front. If you can cut it down to, 25% of what your wish list is and get off the ground and have it be effective and have it not look like an incomplete site, you can always push content. You can always push pages or projects down the line for when that budget opens up or new opportunities open up. My second tip would be make sure you're leveraging the right platform and the right tools to allow you to do the job quickly and at the budget that you may be working with. 30% of websites nowadays are built on WordPress. We do a lot of WordPress sites here internally at CMA, and WordPress is open source, open platform, and it's a free content management system. WordPress also allows you to get sites put together quickly because there's an extensive community of developers. So there is almost anything you can think of that you want to do on your website, there's a plugin for it on WordPress. So, there are trade-offs on that I'll get to here in a minute, but if you're looking to get a site up quickly, at a lower cost, WordPress is always that's why I said 30% of all websites built nowadays on the internet, which is a staggering number, are built on one platform, on WordPress, because it offers you flexibility. It allows you to get a site up quickly and at a lower cost. The third tip I would have, and this goes into, in your question, you asked about automating your website. Now, automating your website to me, I think is important because I always try to tell clients this. You put all this time into putting a new website together. You tell your customers you have a new site up, and everyone wants to check it out. They're excited. They check it out. They love your new site. If they come back a week later, see how that new site's doing, and it looks exactly the same, they're gonna say, okay. They come back another week later, it looks exactly the same again, they're probably not gonna keep coming back to it, right? So I always try to help clients find ways to keep their site changing, particularly your homepage, because it's what most people are gonna see first, without you having to do a lot of heavy lifting. And a few ways we like to do that is social media feeds, particularly if you have an active Instagram account. It's great to just have, use the technology to pull that sort of data in automatically so that as your social media team is updating your feed, it's also updating the content on your homepage automatically. So you don't have to update it. The site's always changing. When people come back, they're seeing new photos, new posts, whether it's, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Another thing I like to do there is using certain plugins. You can also schedule content changes. So say you're using, you have a nice big, which a lot of people do nowadays, carousels on your homepage, right? A slider with, big, beautiful slides. Instead of making 3 of them, make 10 of them. And you can, in a lot of instances, automate when they turn on and off. Have them toggle on and off each week so that each time the person comes, they're seeing something different without you having to actually go in and constantly making new content. Little things like that help, make your site seem more active and seem like it's updated more than it possibly is. But my fourth tip, and this goes back to using WordPress and using those open source tools, is what I always like to describe as avoiding technical debt. And by that, I mean, it is easy to get off the ground using WordPress, right? And like I said, okay, we need an events calendar. Okay, WordPress theme. We need this contact form, WordPress theme. And that's great, but by, taking some of these shortcuts, it's like, putting the time and effort on a credit card, because down the line, as your company expands and your need for functionality on your website expands, you're going to say, okay, the event calendar is great, but now we need to allow people to do booking through the event calendar. And you'll go to your developer, and your developer will say, well, we used the plugin to make that and it doesn't do booking. So now, instead of just extending what was built originally, you have to go back and blow the whole thing up and start over. So you're going to have to do the work eventually to have a site that's truly scalable and extensible and flexible enough to allow you to move that quickly and add things as you grow. And, using some of those, free platforms or taking some of those shortcuts up front, a lot of times does lead to headaches down the line.
Those are all great tips, Justin. I think it's, just trying to determine, you're right, exactly what you want to do when, knowing that you could run into some problems down the road if you did want to add on a ton.
Yep.
All right, so the next question, what would be the best placement for necessary donations? I know this has been a big big question in all of our series topics with social media, just how to market in general, because nonprofits and organizations are kind of muddying through that tough waters right now of putting out their donations. Bob, do you have some insight into that? Hold on mute one more time. There you go.
Thank you. It's a very good question, and there are a lot of challenges involved with it. Traditionally, people are sending email, making specific landing pages, and doing things on their website to get business. I think in this time, I think your best bet really is to become a social media star. In today's day and age, your organization may not as well even exist if it's not present on the main social media platforms of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And while donor conversions on Facebook are fairly low, maybe 3 to 6%, social media allows your nonprofit to interact with your supporters. You can build up a brand image, you can increase exposure, and you get donors to sign up for mail lists and things like that. But when it comes to creating a social media strategy, which is what you really need to do in order to make this work, you have to really note that although it looks like it, social media isn't free. There's a cost of staff time, there's a cost of resource, which takes away from other aspects of fundraising and your organization. But what social media does in a way that no other communication channel can is that it has a multiplier effect when your supporters help you out. More than ever, if you look at millennials, Gen Z, they seek out information about nonprofits, which nonprofits to donate to on social media. And although these younger generations don't make up the largest amount of donations, their impact and donor value is increasing every day. So I think that's an area where I think you can really go and make a difference. So how do you turn your social media followers into donors? That's also, how do we do that? How do we get them to contribute? And if you look now, many nonprofits use social media to announce events, milestones, share occasional videos and articles. And this approach often generates very little engagement, resulting in sparse donations. You want to move away from that. I'm going to call that the megaphone approach, and you want to engage your social media population. And there's ways to do that. There are a couple I'm just going to touch on right now. One is appreciation. Everyone feels good when they're recognized and appreciated. And social media allows you to do this at a very low cost in a very public way to acknowledge your followers and your donors. With organizations, you have advocacy. You know, every nonprofit has a cause or a mission, you know, and you want to share about your cause via social media by showcasing either external or some kind of internal content. And then the third thing is the appeals. You want to raise money, and you want to feel free to solicit for donations directly through social media, but you need to be careful. You want to have a good mixture of appeals, and that should be proportionate to the content that you're putting up as well. So I thought what I would do is just give you one example to give you a little bit of concrete information. So let's say we take the example of appreciating or recognizing a donor. So what are the things that you might be able to do? So you could feature your donors and followers on your social media channel, either daily or weekly. You can repost and retweet their content. You can use their hashtags. You can offer donors exclusive content and insight into your activities. You can respond to your followers frequently and timely. And I think actually Facebook even measures responsiveness. So that's a good thing. When using direct appeals, just make it very easy. You know, put a URL in there that leads directly to your website to either a call to action or an actual donation. And then offer something. Don't always just ask for a contribution. Offer good content, or even something like a prize for the keenest follower, or create a quiz related to your mission, you know, something like that. But when you're advocating for your cause, make it fun. Use memes, GIFs, polls, videos, that sort of thing. So that in a nutshell, I think that can really separate you from other people that are just using the more traditional channels to try to make donations. Go out there and become a rock star in social media.
And I think a good kind of tie into what Justin was just saying about how to automate your website is, being a social media star, those feeds can be automated directly onto your homepage of your website. And that's how it can all tie in together and really get those donors engaged.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next question coming in, what are cost-effective ways to gain leads online? Omer, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, Kelsey, the digital landscape can be real confusing and quite expensive. But there are a few ways to help gain new leads online inexpensively. Some cost-effective ways are, number one, to Bob's point, social media. Keeping your brand relevant and consistent with social media postings on your company's news, events, specials, ads, promotions can be incredibly cost-effective and help you gain more leads. I think the second way is email marketing. To reach out to current and potential clients with news, promotions, events is a great way to stay in front of your clients, let them know what's going on with your company. The third is SEO, or search engine optimization. Taking time to verify all internal and external links, making sure the links are going where they're supposed to, frequently updating your website with content and blogs, and analyzing your SERPs, or your search engine results pages, will all help your website's initial SEO strategy. And I think lastly, retargeting ads. Custom ads that will reach visitors to your business website are an impactful way to stay in front of your target audience for a fraction of the price.
Now, Omer, would you be able to dive in a little bit more into retargeting ads? Because that is definitely a very cost-effective way to capture leads. And I know it's kind of a new area for a lot of people in the digital marketing world.
Sure. So we've all been on Amazon, and a couple of days later, that watch comes up on another website. We've just been hit by a retargeting ad. We visited Amazon, we've shown interest, and that ad has followed us through. We can do the same thing for a fairly cost-effective way. As long as a client or a user comes to your website, we can go ahead and put a pixel on whatever device they access the website from, and that ad will follow them on YouTube when they're paying their Verizon bill, like I always do. And the ad will follow them, and it will keep your brand in front of your potential client and lead. It will help your brand's recognition, because you'll be able to see those ads on bigger websites and huge platforms, and it will help bring that audience back to your site for new information. And they're fairly customizable, so you can definitely change the ads every other week if you'd like, once a month if you'd like. Some people like to do seasonal ads and during the holidays and promote shopping offers. So they're fairly customizable, and for a fraction of the price, you can get a really great ad going.
And I think one of the greatest things about retargeting ads is it's already somewhat of a quote unquote warm lead. They came to your website first, they researched you, they just weren't ready to make that purchase yet. So they left and now they're being served your brand message in all different avenues as they're searching online, on social media. And I think one of the greatest things is when they see your brand and continuously see it, all of a sudden they're ready to make that purchase. They make the click and it can go directly to a contact form on your website. And that's where the lead is captured and you bring them down the sales funnel even further. So those are some great options for some cost-effective ways in the digital world. All right, so next up, going on that contact form page, what form fields should you have on your contact page? And what pages should you have contact forms on? Should it just be a few, just one page, all of them? Justin, this is kind of the web design area. Do you have any thoughts?
Sure, yeah. You know, the bare minimum, obviously, that you need to put on a form is you want someone's name, you want their email and or their phone number. You want at least one field to help you understand why a customer is contacting you, whether that's, you know, an open text area so then they can send you a message, or a pull down list. I'm interested in X, I'm interested in Y, I'm interested in Z. And you need, in the year 2020, you certainly need a CAPTCHA or a spam protection field, because if you put an open contact form on a website, you will quickly realize why you need to add that spam protection field, because as soon as Google finds it, you will regret attaching your email address to it. Now, as far as where you put, you know, and I think to go along with that, you know, I said email or phone. I think you have to be careful about how many fields you make required, right? Because it's easy to put the form and say, well, I want all of those things, right? I want to get everything, so make all of them required. But as soon as too much is required, you're going to see a drop off in submissions. You know, you want to put the least amount of friction between you and that potential customer. You want to get their information at all costs. So, you know, make sure you capture either their email or their phone number. Don't force them to give you both, right? Make sure they're giving you at least one way to contact them, but don't make them force them to fill out, you know, 8 fields in order for them to reach out to you. And to that point too, I think it's fine. You know, they said, should you put it on every page? I think it's fine to include a small contact form on every page, but it should be small, right? A little form in your sidebar or a little form in your footer that, again, no matter what page you're on, whenever that inkling to contact strikes, you want it to be there and you want it to be easy for them to get in touch with you. With that being said, on pages that are specifically targeted towards a certain person or selling a certain service, I think those pages should have their own dedicated forms with their own dedicated fields to try to get some of that information that's more pertinent to the product that you're selling. But again, I think it's fine on every page as long as it's small, but make sure you have more targeted and more specific forms to capture that sort of information on the pages where they're needed.
Absolutely. And I think that's, you know, for your main website, that those are great points. But even if you were running a campaign that had specific landing pages, every single one of those landing pages should have a contact form on them.
Of course.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. All right. Here's a great question. Has CMA experienced any new types of requests since everything has gone virtual? Bob, I know you've been dealing with some new solutions that we've been working on with clients. Do you have any insights?
Yeah, I do. You know, virtual meetings, distance learning have been coming to the forefront. We've been speaking with several companies that do trainings and meetings around the world, and they're not able to do that now. The companies are still very interested in getting, especially distance learning, to their employees, especially now that they're home. There's a little more downtime, and it's a real opportunity for their employees to get the training that they need. So we've been working with a company that is very eager to pursue this, and so we've put together a solution for them, and it's a 2-part solution. There's a portal that we have on their website where the company employees or individuals can come in and they log in. It's all secured, and they can get all of the necessary information. They can get pre-class materials. They can they can get the meeting URL, and we're using web conferencing software. Most like the software that's most popular right now is Zoom, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams. And they all have different functionality. But we have that portal where they can log in, get the pre-work or the pre-class information. And then when it's time for the class, they can actually hit the URL similar to what you're doing now, but we're doing more of an online teaching seminar or meeting as opposed to a webinar-ish type of meeting where there's more interaction. We actually have a moderator that's actually setting the ground rules before the class begins on how to ask questions. And that's allowing the educator to concentrate more on the subject matter. So the moderator will go in and field questions. We can also look at attention of the participants. If they're reducing the application or they're bringing up another program, we can see that, and then we can then message that to the educator saying, hey, you're losing your class here. Either engage them somehow by asking a question or change topic or do something a little bit differently. So we're able to put together a scheme where we're working symbiotically, so to speak, with the educator to give a very, very nice class product that normally you could only do if you actually were there physically and being able to see people's reactions. Now, with the virtual classroom and with the virtual tools that are available, this is now a potential solution. So we're getting ready to roll this out. It's very exciting. I think it's going to do very well. And I think it's something that even after this pandemic leaves us, and hopefully it will be sooner rather than later, you're still going to see this type of long distance learning going on because companies are going to get used to this and they're going to find, hey, this might be more economical. They might be able to do it off hours. There are lots of different opportunities that they're going to have. So this is a technology that I think is here to stay, now and into the future.
Yeah, and I know kind of piggybacking off of that, not only is CMA a full service marketing and communications agency, but we are also a full service association management company. And with all of those associations, they each have their own big conferences every single year that over the past couple of months, they have had to been canceled, changed, postponed, trying to figure out exactly how they're going to still host all of their members for this once a year experience. And a lot of that has actually gone virtual as well, very similar to what you're
describing. We've actually been doing a little bit of research into doing virtual conferences as well, and that's moving along very nicely.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think this is somewhat here to stay even after we kind of go back to the normal or what the new normal will be, because people are realizing the different offerings that they can get virtually as well as in person. Justin, I think this might be good to share with the group too. I know we've recently done a new, I think, update feature for one of our clients. Could you share a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. Like I said, we've been nonstop updating apps and websites for customers as they try to get these messages out. And for one customer in particular, we manage a suite of mobile apps for them across the Android and iOS platforms. I think we have 12 apps total. And they were looking to obviously get their COVID messaging out and provide their customers with some important information and resources about how to deal with everything that's going on. So what we proposed to them and what we ended up doing for them was not just, the standard, here's a button, click and learn about COVID. We built them a dynamic system that allows them to not only get this information out right now, but handle these sorts of, God forbid, these sorts of events, any sort of emergency event moving forward into the future. So, from a web panel that they have access to, anywhere in the world, they can update the home screen on all 12 of their apps with a special emergency button and a title and a link to a web page that they can control all the content externally, so that they don't have to go through updating an app, getting it approved, waiting for Apple and Google. It allows them to put important information into their customers' hands immediately and respond to something like this in minutes instead of days or hours or, however it was done in the past. So we find a lot of clients now looking for new ways to be ready for these sorts of things in the future. I think, no one expected this. There are a lot of people who, they may have a little, notice system on their website or their app, but this is a whole new level of, emergency message, delivery that we've never dealt with before as web app developers, and these companies have not had to deal with before. So I think everyone's coming out of this and, looking at how they did and preparing for how to do it better in the future.
Yeah, so we have really been seeing some new opportunities develop from this COVID-19 climate, but I do think that both of those examples are here to stay and is something that is going to be extremely useful to customers and clients in the future. We have another question here. What are some ways to see how well your website is performing, and how can you leverage that information to get better results? Omer, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, that's a great question. I think the most efficient way to see what your website's performance is your SERPs, or your search engine results pages, for keywords that you want your website to get found for. This is when Google has crawled your website for relevancy and consistency, and it delivers those websites, and that's where your website's ranked. You can leverage this information by building a strategy around those keywords and that you want your brand to associate with, and incorporate them into your digital presence. If you are selling tools, you don't want to get found for mice.
Very good points. We do have a few more questions that I want to make sure that we get through, but I do want to open it up to the chat box as well. So anybody who is on the webinar with us today, if you do have a question that you'd like us to discuss, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and we'll be getting to those in just a few moments. But before that, we do have a few more. And the next one is, what are some options on how to put messaging up on your website, letting current customers or potential customers know what your policies and operations are during this time? I know we've done a lot of that for not only ourselves, but for all of our clients as well. That has kept our web team busy. Justin, do you have any insights on that?
Sure. Yeah. I think the most important thing is knowing what it is, what message is it that you need to get across? What information is it that is going to be important to clients to know? We spoke earlier about, especially when they're saying here your operation details. So have your hours changed? If they have, obviously these are things you want to get out there. Things like that, like your hours have changed, that, you want to do multiple times. I think you want to update, you want to make sure you update any global templates, headers and footers on your website that contain that information. Get them updated. Get a button somewhere prominent. Most sites now, I'm viewing them, and they make sure that COVID update hits you, right? It's either right up in the header, a nice big red button. We've done some alert banners, full screen alert banners. Some people have thrown that information right into a big homepage slider. Make sure you get that message out on social media. And what I think is important too is making sure, I like having the information on a dedicated page on your website that you can link to, because then it allows you to have a semi-permanent location where that information lives, that you can share on social media channels. So you can make sure that, that update your information once, it lives on your website, everyone can come find it, and you can easily put it on Facebook, you can put it on Twitter, you can send people to a central location, which we have, Kelsey and I have worked on putting together for CMA as well. Not just getting that initial message out there, which we did, but also putting a specific section on our website together with COVID-related resources, these webinars that we're doing, blog posts that we're writing, video series, all sorts of information that is helpful and, shows your clients that you understand the situation, you're staying active through the situation, and you're adapting to the situation, which everybody is doing their best to do right now.
Absolutely. I think an important tip is that now is not the time to stay silent. You want to make sure that you're communicating with your current customers as well as your future customers. Let them know that you're still there, you're still operating, but just make sure that your messaging shifts to ensure that they know exactly where your company stands throughout this entire climate.
Right, and I just want to add one more little piece to that, because we've worked with some very large organizations, and as Justin said earlier, we've put up dedicated pages for them, but we've also put up dedicated resources for their employees as well. So it's not just for customers and potential clients. There's a lot of information that can be used internally as well, and so that's something to really keep in mind.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Internal and external communication is absolutely key right now. We have a couple more questions, but before we close out on those that have already been submitted, please feel free to put in the chat box any questions that you may have. We'd love to get to them before we close out the webinar today. But if you don't feel comfortable asking them on the live webinar, please feel free. We'll put up some contact information at the end of this of how to reach us afterwards. So to continue on, this is a interesting question. How do I trace leads from a specific promoter's post? I'd say maybe, Omer, what are your thoughts on how we can trace leads from posts that the company itself is putting out?
Sure. Well, it depends where it's being searched at. So what they're using to gauge it. Is it website traffic coming to a certain site? Is it an item you're selling? The technical aspect, we're putting a code, a pixel on that and tracking it that way. But I'll look a little further and see, okay, is it a temporary campaign that we're doing? Is it a temporary promotion? Is it something that you do according to season? What's the time frame? Is it a part of your service already? Are you already giving or branding those solutions out? And I would kind of gauge it that way and see the lift in incremental business as compared to before and then after that promotion. And then organically comparing it from last year and what you were doing at this time. That's when you can genuinely gauge how much of a lift you're getting from that particular post, and you can really find the true meaning of that lift.
Absolutely, good point. Okay, we do have a question that came in here. They're an engineering firm and have LinkedIn. So we are going to add another social media platform, and they're thinking Facebook. Would we suggest Facebook or Twitter? So for an engineering firm, I'm going to open this up to the group. I think we all probably have a little bit to add to it based on our areas of specialties, but Omer, maybe you can touch base a little bit from just the digital side in general.
Sure. I think Facebook over Twitter a little bit more. You could put more content about your business. You could put more access to events and news and more solutions through your Facebook business page. I think that's a little bit more impactful. A little bit more impactful than Twitter for your audience. Your audience is if they're on Facebook a little bit more than Twitter, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, is to do a little bit of research behind who your audience is and where they're going. And that's going to help you build the best strategy to see what platforms you should be on outside of the ones you're currently on. Even if, the LinkedIn might not be where you guys should be to begin with, maybe you should just explore Facebook or Twitter, but it's all behind the research and the strategy and the messaging that you want to put out and what you're offering. Are you driving them back to your website? Are you putting out a special promotion? Are you looking to do social media advertising? Because based on those criteria as well, will help you determine the best platform to be on.
Right. Another avenue to look at, especially for engineering companies where they either have products or they're providing some kind of a solution, if they have anything in terms of case studies and things like that, they can put that stuff up in the form of a blog, because now they're talking about different kinds of expertise that they have. So they may not necessarily be pushing their particular product, but if they're talking about applications that might use their product, those blog entries can get picked up by Google, and they can get some very high ratings from a social media point of view, and also get some nice leads to their website.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think sorry, important when making these, something that can help, because it is a hard decision to make sometimes. If you don't know necessarily, like you're saying, know who, your audience, what do they use more? Not always the easiest information to come by, right? I think, Facebook demographic tends to skew a little older and a little more serious. And I think that Facebook also offers a much more robust advertising platform and opportunities. But I think something important to do when you're not sure, when you can't figure out which to do, which should we stay in, stay off of, look at your competition, right? see what they're doing, take a look at those different channels that they're doing, because they might be doing both, and you might be able to look and see which one does better, which one gets more engagement, which one you like more, and feel out the other people in your industry and see where they lean towards and how they do on those platforms to help make that decision.
Those are great points. Please, we're winding down now, but if you have any additional questions you'd like us to discuss on the webinar here today, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We will be sending out a replay of this for all attendees, as well as all the questions we've gone through today. So hopefully you can kind of get a little bit back in terms of how to put this towards your specific business, and hopefully we will be able to help you in the web and digital world as we navigate these climates. So as we wind down, I don't see any further questions coming in. I'm going to put up how you can reach us moving forward, and we're really we're going to be having more conversations. So we appreciate that you've joined us today, and we're really looking forward to having some additional conversations in the coming weeks on different topics. So far, we've done a general how to market during this time that we touched a little bit on all of our different solutions, but now we're really trying to take that and dive more into the specific solutions. So we've had conversations on social media, crisis communication. Obviously now we're getting into the web and digital world a little bit more, and we're looking to go into how to brand yourself during this time, or what your brand should be saying during this time and doing during this time, and how to keep that brand recognition out there, not only now, but when this is all over as well. So please stay in touch with us, follow us on social media. I'm going to put up how to contact us, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon. I'm going to throw it back over to Christian as we end here today, and thank you all for joining us. Christian?
Thank you all again for attending. Over the next day, you'll receive an email with a link to this webinar and a PowerPoint of all the questions you asked today, and including the answers. So if we didn't get to your specific question, it will be included in the PowerPoint. If you'd like to continue to discuss any marketing or communication pain points your company is experiencing, please feel free to contact us at info@CMA Solutions. We're here to help. I'd like to thank the team for your time and effort, and great job today. Thank you all.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll talk to you all soon.